We expect you have a very general understanding of object-oriented programming blocks like classes and structs. In this tutorial, we have a quick look at a class in C#, then we have a discussion of the structs, and then a detailed look on the record keyword. The tutorial closes with when to use a record. A class in C# is about the same as in other object-oriented languages. Data members can be marked public, private, and protected. Data members are also called fields in C#. A constructor can be used to initialize data members. A constructor that accepts no parameters is called a default constructor, whereas a constructor that accepts parameters is called a parameterized constructor. Public functions or methods can be executed on the objects of a class. An object can be created with the new keyword myClass obj is equal to new myClass followed by the constructor arguments. The new expression can be simplified in newer versions of C#. We could have done it like this also: myClass obj is equal to new followed by the arguments. We do not have to repeat the name of the class after the new keyword. A struct in C# is recommended for holding values. The rule of thumb is to use a struct if the data members are numeric types. For example, there is a built-in struct called point that stores the coordinates of a point. Another built-in struct is datetime, which stores the number of ticks. A struct can contain a constructor. It doesn't participate in inheritance. Structs are copied as value when passing as arguments to functions and methods. They contain their own data. That is why we suggest that they should be always kept light. They should only be used when you have integral data. A record is mainly used for creating init-once type of data. The following single-line syntax, public record class myData string int, defines an int-once, an init-once record to hold a string, and an int type of data. Compiler generates the proper constructor and data members for holding the data. Object of this record can be created by using the usual syntax: myData obj is equal to new followed by the constructor arguments. The data can be printed by using console writeline. The compiler provides the toString method for records. The output is in a readable format: myData curly braces followed by the data. You can override this method if required, but a compiler will provide this method for you so that you get an output in a standard way. Since this record is not mutable, any attempt to modify a property fails with a compiler error. It is possible to create record structs also. They should be used if data to be stored is simple, numeric, and small. A record struct is read-write by default. It can be made init-once by using the read-only keyword: public read-only record struct myData int. Two objects of records and structs are equal if they contain the same values and are of the same type. Two objects of classes are equal only if they point to the same object in heap memory. The comparison for records and structs is based on values, the data, whereas comparison on classes is based on addresses. And finally, let me give a summary of when to use what. A record should be used to hold init-once data that will never be changed. This is the working rule. A record class is passed by reference, but a record struct is passed by value. Use a read-only record struct if the data is small and numeric type and init-once type. This ensures that objects are not created on the heap and are easier to pass by value. Use a record class if the data contained is large or it is complex, like strings or other C# classes. So the conclusion is that most of the time you will be using a record class or read-only record struct to hold data that will not be mutable, that will be constant after you enter it. This is sufficient to get you started, but these are not easy concepts. They need a deeper study that can be done as you become more proficient in C#. Thank you.